Now, normalization is a topic that you're going to have to deal with as a database developer, because you may be called upon, or you will be called upon from time to time, to help with the actual construction and design of the database. And normalization is something that you will have to have a good working understanding of. So let's start off with a simple definition. And in this video, I'm going to take you through just a real quick, simple, very basic little exercise to help you understand normalization and what it does. And then in another video or two, explain a little bit more about it. And then in all these videos, I'm going to direct you to some places. Most common place to start is out there on Microsoft.com, or just go Google normalization. But you need to read up on this and understand you can find some 200 or 300 page books out in the bookstores and on Amazon about normalization. And it can get very academic and very heady and very boring, but you just need to understand the basics to get started. And a lot of this you will do naturally, but notice the definition here. Normalization is a system of table organization, and it really is a systematic application of table organization that we use to make sure that our data integrity, in other words, the relationships between the data in our database tables and the efficiency in storing and manipulating that data is at the highest level possible. Now, a fellow by the name of Dr. E.F. Codd actually established this way of thinking and this standardization of organizing database tables way back in the 70s, and we won't get into all that. You can go Google that stuff on the internet as well. It's not going to help you here. But the way that we implement normalization are in stages or particular levels of adjustment to the data, and these are referred to as normal forms. And so you will hear someone say that the tables are in at least first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, and gosh, these go all the way up 7, 8 normal forms. I think there's actually 12 or 13. But what I want to do now is take you through just a very quick run through on a basic database and show you how this kind of works out. First of all, let's just pretend here that we're working for a company, and we have sat down with our people in the company, and we have determined the data that they need to store in their database. And here it is. Here's the company data. Now notice something here. We need to store information about our employees. So here's an employee ID, last name, first name, address, city, state, zip, standard stuff, phone, the position of that employee, vice president, sales, mail clerk, that sort of thing. And then that position description of what exactly they do, the pay rate, the bonus they received, the last time they got a raise, the date they were hired. Then we also need to store data on our customers. We need a customer ID to identify them, customer name, customer address, city, state, zip. And then these guys are going to be placing orders, so we need to keep some information about the orders, the order number, the quantity of widgets they ordered, then the order date, when did they order these widgets, the product ID, exactly what did they order, a description of it, and then our cost of that particular product. Now, this is where we're trying to go through and determine, okay, what needs to be stored on. A lot of these, if you've done this before, you're thinking, wait a minute, dude, wait a minute now, product cost, what does that mean? Is that what we pay for it? Does that include the shipping to get it to us? So there may be places for more data, but this is exactly where we start. We start right here. So this is all the data. Now, can we put all this data in one giant table and go? We absolutely can. Is it a good idea? It absolutely is not. Okay, we're going to get into all kind of data handling and management issues. And so let's talk about putting this data in the first normal form. Now, a very simplified exclamation of the first normal form is simply divide your data into logical units and assign a primary key. When I say assign a primary key, I am in effect saying make sure that you're not going to store duplicate rows in this table, but any of the tables. So notice what we've done. We've taken all of the fields or the pieces of data that we need to store that have to do with employees, and we've grouped them into a table called employees. Then we've taken everything that has to do with the customers and put it into a table, you guessed it, called customers. And then we put all the information about products into a table called products. Pretty straightforward. Now let's go to the second level. Second normal form says, now, the only data that should be in a table should be related to the primary key. So if it's only partly related to the primary key, put it in another table. So what we actually did, instead of having our three basic tables, we took the employee pay data and put it into its own table. So we took this stuff right here out of the employees table and gave it its own table. Position, position description, pay rate, bonus, and last raise. Now notice I added the employee ID. We will use that to link back to this table, but I'm not paying so much attention to the primary keys here as grouping the data. And you still need to do some work here. On the customer side, notice we pulled orders out. We said, well, let's set orders out separately because an order has to do with customers, but not that particular customer maybe. And then third normal form, let's take a look at that. In the third normal form, remove all data that's not absolutely dependent on the primary key to another table. And let's look at what happens to our database or our table structure now. We've got employees, employee pay, customers, orders, and then our products that we've pulled out. And we've also pulled positions out of the employee pay table. And so notice how we're just simply drilling into our data. And we're trying to make sure that we store the data only once, that we store it very logically, and that we're using the most efficient method of storing and manipulating the data. Now, in another video that's entitled Normalization Benefits, I'm going to talk about exactly what this does for us. So look for that video, but this is just a very brief, very, very cursory look at exactly what the first, second, third normal forms start to do to your database structure. And I strongly encourage you to go out there and read and study normalization. The more you can understand about this and implement it, the better your database is going to perform and function.